Shilpa.
Love those T-shirts.
There you see, we've got Shilpa on front. Hey, you're much taller than I thought you were. I thought you were a very small person.
No. The heels are doing me very...
You've got... Oh, they're considerably... How about... Oh, they must be about 4 or 5 inches, aren't they?
At least 3.
OK, lovely to have you here. We saw you in Big Brother. I wasn't that familiar with you beforehand. We'll talk about your film career in a minute. But, of course, the Big Brother experience was, I would have thought, a life-changing one for you.
Definitely. OK,
how did you come to be in it in the first place? And what prompted you to think it would be a good idea?
I wasn't thinking. I don't know. I guess I was just destined to be there. And I hadn't seen the show. I just heard about it, and apparently it was a hugely recognized show. So I said, why not? And I thought it was a great opportunity for an Indian to be on it. So I just took up the offer. And also, the reason being that it was just a 3-week show, and I thought that I would be out in the first week, maximum the second week.
Yeah. You didn't think you'd be there for the long haul?
No way.
Did you regret doing it, though? I mean, while you were in there must have been times when you felt uncomfortable, obviously, but afterwards, you're happy you did it? And...
not a second that I regret, because what's come out of it has been so positive that the sheer fact that the show worked as a catalyst in the whole bringing about the awareness of racism and people actually having the gumption to talk about it and standing up for their rights, people being bullied day in and day out, didn't know how to approach the issue, but today they actually stand up and say, enough is enough and I don't want to be bullied.
Yeah.
And they do it with dignity and without losing their cool.
Well, you dealt with it, in a very dignified way. Were you surprised at what happened? Were you surprised that it happened in the first place? Had you encountered that kind of thing before?
No, I'm born and brought up in India. I've travelled the world round, but never ever been through anything like that. I knew it would be a slight culture shock for me because, I was the only foreigner who was going to be in there. But I met some very wonderful people as well.
But it's funny because a similar issue has blown up. I'm sure you've...
I know. I landed in Yorkshire. I was there for the awards, the Bollywood Awards, and it's called the IFAs. And the first thing I heard was there was again another race row or some such thing. And the next thing I knew that the participant was evicted. So I think it's all good.
Well, it was
they've taken it very seriously.
Although it was kind of like, in a way, it seemed odd that Channel 4 was so delighted to have the chance to do it again. I mean, they were right, I think. But at the same time, you could see they were thinking, great, we messed up last time. Yeah. We didn't step in. Now we're going to jump straight in. And it's a complicated issue, of course, yes. And not the kind of thing that a show that normally deals with masturbation should dwell on. Want to talk about that at all? Hey. Let me talk about your films, because I'm reasonably well acquainted with Indian cinema. Not like, someone who's grown up watching Indian films, but for someone from the West of this country, I'm aware of some of the bigger actors. I've seen some of the bigger movies that get released over here. Yes, I'm a fan of Amitabh Bachchan.
Whoa, you got that right. Oh my gosh.
Preeti Zinta, I have a very soft spot for. Fantastic. So and Lagan, I thought, was a great movie. There are movies that come over and that cross over to a bigger audience.
I am so happy.
Well, good. And I've seen a few of yours, but I wasn't as familiar with your work until you went in the Big Brother house. So yes. You hadn't really crossed over. How big a star were you in what we would call the Bollywood scene?
I've been there, done that for the last 15 years. I've reduced on my work. I used to make 5 movies a year to doing 2 movies a year now, purely wanting to emphasize on quality more than quantity.
Because they really do churn them out.
Yes,
I don't mean that, but
exactly.
Really, I mean, I don't
we churn out the most amount of movies in the world.
Yeah, really. I mean, it's like 1,000 a year or something come out of India. Now, I've seen them change over the years, because I used to live in a part of East London where there was a big Indian community, and they would show the movies, and I'd occasionally go in out of curiosity to see one. And back in those days, they seemed to normally involve, and once again, I don't mean to be dismissive, but we didn't have subtitles on, I went to see, and people seemed to be spending quite a lot of time dancing around bushes. And I got to think, was that a euphemism for sexual congress? Was that just general joy? Because always at the end of the movie, a boy and girl would get together, and they'd be really happy, and then they'd dance around a bush for 5 minutes.
I know. Yeah, those were the days. But that's changed, thank God. And now we don't dance around bushes, we dance around each other.
Yeah, so they've got a little bit sexier.
Yes.
Yeah. I've seen now, there's a movie I watched with Shilpa in, which I'm going to show you a clip of, and I want Shilpa to try and talk us through it and explain what's going on.
Oh my God.
I
hope it's a good movie.
It was a horror film.
Oh my God!
Yeah, okay. And I watched this film, and I've got to be honest with you, I enjoyed it, but it's probably the least frightening horror film I've seen in my entire life.
It was supposed to be a bizarre horror movie for children.
Oh, was it for kids?
Yes.
I didn't realise that.
Yeah.
OK, well, that makes a bit more sense now.
Yeah.
Okay? So I was watching it at bedtime thinking, this isn't scary.
Oh, my God. You know, and before you all watch it, let me just give you a slight background. I'm supposed to be scared of apples.
OK, yeah. Now, hold on.
I hate you for doing this. I have done 51 movies, and the only movie you got to show these people was that?
Well, the other movies aren't as much fun to watch because this one has a lot of screaming in and you're scared of apples. Right? OK, so what happened? Your character, how does she come to be scared of apples?
Well, she wakes up one day and she's apple shopping.
Yes. She's shopping probably for other things or just apples?
Just apples, because they were expensive in that season, and she's bargaining for these apples, and there's this one guy who's selling them really cheap.
Yeah, I didn't like the look of him.
Yeah, exactly. And she has this expression on her face saying, why are they selling, why is this one selling these really huge, juicy apples so cheap?
Really, you're going to, may I interrupt? You're going to see some of the nicest apples you've ever seen. These are red and juicy. Please continue.
And she buys them, she gets tempted, and she takes them home, and then she takes them home and she realizes that the size of the apples have grown bigger.
Oh,
and she's like, there's something weird happening here. And her husband comes back home from work, and there's something not so right about it. So she tells her husband not to eat the apple. And she takes them and she throws them.
But does he listen?
Yeah. No, he doesn't. She throws them out, and then she opens the fridge and she realizes the apples are back in there. Are you all scared?
Say no more.
What's the point? People are supposed to be scared.
Now we're going to show the first clip. OK, have a look at this.
My career is ruined in the UK.
So that apple in the bed...
Yeah, that used to be my husband.
The husband turned into an apple. So what does your character do in response to this, let's face it, a terrifying revelation? She doesn't eat the apple, does she?
She runs away. She goes to make a police complaint.
Okay. Let me stop you there. This is the next clip I want you to see. This is Shilpa running away. And if you didn't think it could get any more terrifying, then you're fooling yourselves. Okay. Now then, this is when it gets... Now, I'm warning you now, if you're of a nervous disposition, you may wish to leave the room or turn away, because she arrives at the police station.
Do you have to do this to me?
Well, I love this. I really found it hugely entertaining. You got to the police station. Have a look what she found.
Inspector, sir?